Hey, thanks for listening to the Welding Tips and Tricks podcast. For this week's Stubby, Jody Collier recorded a live recording with Sidni Hinesley from the Georgia Trade School while they were at Fabtech. So the audio is a little bit on the wonky side, but I did the best I could with trying to fix it up and make it sound better. Hope you guys enjoy it, and here we go.
Hey, welcome to this Stubby episode of the Welding Tips and Tricks podcast. I've got Sidni Hinesley here with Georgia Trade School, and we're going to be answering a question about job applications, job resumes, applying for a job when you're freshly graduated out of welding school, or for that matter, any job application, just applying for a job. Sidni, prior to working at Georgia Trade School, was a recruiter for Ingalls Shipyard. So you hired thousands of welders, right?
Yes, yeah, multiple of thousands.
Yeah.
Probably north of 2,000, I would think.
Okay, so and the reason I wanted to have her on this episode was because she sat on the other side of the desk, and so she's uniquely qualified to answer some of these questions. So that's where she comes in here, and she participated in a panel discussion at Fabtech recently on this very topic. And afterwards, she told me a story, and I thought, I got to get that on tape. We'll get to that later. We'll call it the gas station story, but we'll get to that later. Some of the things, Sidni, that I remember you talking about there on the question about resumes and how to make an effective resume. Yeah. One of the first things that I remember you saying was, do not send it in a Word doc.
Correct. Yeah, that is a big mistake you can make. There can be a lot of formatting issues. If you use Google Docs, which a lot of people younger ages do now because they don't have Word at home, they don't want to pay for it. They use Google Docs, they use Word, they use Pages from Mac. Mm-hmm. So those can cause some real big formatting issues. When you save it as a PDF, it actually saves it as a picture. Mm-hmm. So every time someone opens it, no matter what version of Word, Pages, Google Docs, however they open this document, it will open and look the same way every time. Even if you're opening it on a phone, which is another big thing people forget that we do when you're on the road and traveling, you do open things from your phone and the formatting can go way askew. So
save your resume in a PDF format.
Yes.
And
email it to yourself every time.
There you go.
Every time. Crucial. I think that's a crucial piece. A lot of people just don't realize, especially if you're talking to someone, you run into someone, your friends know a friend, your mom knows someone she works with, has, nephew works at this company you've been trying to work for years, or somewhere you want to get in at, to be able to send it to your mom, to forward over, however you want to look at it, whoever you are, whatever your name is, that needs to be the title and resume. So for me, my resume says Sidni Hinesley resume. Make it easy. Don't put version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just your name, just the resume, and then if you're searching your emails and you type in your name and resume, the most recent one you sent to yourself is the most updated version.
And that leads me into
email addresses.
Oh yeah, email addresses, right.
That's very important.
Right. So what's your input on that?
You need to look at it as if your mother was looking at your email address, and if you wouldn't send something to your mother from this email address, please don't send it to a company or an employer or a recruiter or a friend to send to someone else.
Right.
Email addresses can be very
inappropriate. They can have sexual innuendos and things like that.
Yes.
Or just things that are super unprofessional.
So you got to be careful with your email address. It should be simple and your name and something like that. Not something that could be misconstrued for a sexual innuendo, a racist innuendo, a religious innuendo. You've got to be careful about those.
And that leads us into the gas station story.
The gas station story.
Okay, what led us into this story, I'll segue us into it right now. You said, oh yes, big deal. Email it to yourself in a PDF. Heck, I hired a guy at a gas station one time.
It's kind of aggro. That's a little stretch, but I met someone and subsequently hired them from a gas station pump. So down in Mississippi, I was wearing an Ingalls shirt to work one day, which is very normal for most people who work there. And I pulled up to get gas after I picked up my little one from daycare. And a guy on the other side of the pump pulled up next to me and said, hey, do you work at Ingalls? I was, yep, sure do. 12,000 other people in the state do. Mm-hmm. Yep, work there. And he said, I've been trying to get on there for a long time, and of course, that's kind of a scary answer for a recruiter, because then it's like, well, why haven't you got on, right? Most people are wondering that. I mean, you probably are applying for the wrong things or stuff you're not qualified for, you know. And then, of course, he asked, where do you work? HR. Oh, man, yeah, let me get you my resume. And I was like, sure. So I went in my car and got my business card. I gave it to him. I had my email address on it. And I finished pumping gas. And I got in the car and I sat down and my phone went off. And there was his resume. And so I skimmed through it and I was like, sure enough, this guy's a welder. He's had 18 years. I remember to the day this guy had 18 years experience. But it was all, I mean, he made it very clear and easy and obvious, and I'm not sure what had held him back before. Whether he was applying to jobs that with a wrong title or something that he had too much experience for. Maybe it was like an apprentice type welding position, and he was just thinking it had welder in it, so he applied. I don't know. There's a million reasons, but I ended up hiring him, and he's doing very well, and he's in the training center working as an instructor down there, I think, to this day. So it's interesting how stuff like that comes about, but it was very impressive for me as a recruiter, and I would not have ever thought to ever look in a job application for someone. I would have never remembered his name. I didn't write anything down, but in like 3 seconds it was in my email, which was fantastic, and I was able to actually help him. And I wanted to help him as a recruiter because he was responsible and proactive. Scott McNeely, one of the instructors here, I mean, we tell students all the time, if you go to the gas stations around here in the morning, there's 100 construction workers with t-shirts on that tells you where they work. They all know someone in their job. If you don't stop one of those people at the gas station and tell them you're a welder looking for work, you would be crazy. You have just missed this huge networking opportunity. Like, they're all getting breakfast and lunch and ice for their lunch boxes. They're all getting things.
It's a gathering hole.
It is the watering hole. It is like a quick trip or racetrack.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all there every morning. You know who they are. They're dressed very clearly going to work like you are.
They got high-vis shirts on.
Yes, you can't miss them. I swear.
True.
So it's another opportunity.
Yeah. So to recap a little bit, on your resume, make sure to have the word welder early and
early.
Obvious. Don't save it as a Word doc, or you can work on it in a Word doc, but when you save it to send, save it as a PDF, email it to yourself.
Yes.
And then network and take opportunities to email it to other people and do it right then.
Yeah, absolutely, immediately.
That's what made the impression on you.
It is.
You got in your car, boom, phone went off.
Yeah.
So this guy's proactive.
And so it was an easy situation for me. It was the easiest hire I probably ever made in my life. It was the easiest recruiting job I've ever had. I didn't have to work hard for the bread and butter on that one.
Well, thank you, Sidni.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Well, that's it for this week's Stubby episode. Hopefully you were able to pick up a couple good HR tips from Sidni, maybe to help you grab that new job. Never know. Worth a shot. I mean, might be pumping gas and see someone that works at HR in the company you really want to get into. It's happened. Anyways, if you've got a question that you would like to hear answered here on a Stubby episode, be sure to send it over to WeldingTipsandTricksPodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get to it as soon as you send it. Have a great one.